Miss Cherie Yvette, the Urban Cowgirl. Come on out, girl, if you can hear us.
Oh, I can. I'm so excited. Thank you guys for that amazing introduction, and it is super exciting to be out here with you guys because I remember when you were building your own personal businesses, and it's come so far. And so I remember interviewing you guys when you were just at the top of your own basic network marketing organization based on your killer marketing strategies, and we did some good interviews with you and Norbert because you guys were both just like blazing the trail, and it's so exciting to see you here in this system that you guys have created that's built another ton of top earners just right off of where you guys left off. So it's really exciting to be out here with your crowd tonight and talk a little bit about Facebook. So let me go ahead and we're going to get started about kind of where, and I'm glad you guys set the stage so that I can let people know exactly where Facebook comes in and where I come in and how Facebook would be different than search because they're different strategies. So the one thing that I want to lay out here tonight is if you're thinking about the strategies differently, the one thing we want to keep in mind, regardless of whether a template-driven system is going to work over in Google or not, which is not, regardless of whether we can still get the same traffic and scale, when I talk about scalability, just so you guys know, I've worked with all the top earners in network marketing since the very beginning, and I could go through a list of names, but it's almost ridiculous, and it almost sounds a bit too bragging rights to start. But I guarantee if it's somebody that owns a big company from the top down, or it's somebody that you know in network marketing, I can almost guarantee you, and you can feel free to ask me during the Q&A names, I can almost guarantee you that I've done something for them in the background in terms of their pay-per-click strategies, either building the campaigns, training them on the campaigns, or setting them up. And over the years, I got really lucky because I started with some very, very kind of maverick beginning guys in the industry doing pay-per-click when Google first launched. I did their campaigns, hands-on, and I got to push the traffic out and really get them set up. So I've been tracking the targets in this industry for about 6 years now. So I have an incredible database of what converts and what doesn't and how it works. But the one thing I want to talk about with Google is Google's just kind of scaling back, and that's kind of the difference. Is they're not scaling back as a company, but they're definitely moving to a place where they have this new thing. They actually released it last week called family-friendly filters. So we saw like the tail end of this coming out last fall, which is when most people started having trouble. They hadn't officialized it yet. There was some issues within the platform, and they did a bunch of things. But now, over the last week, they've actually announced, and there's been a lot of press about it, that they have family-friendly filters. So essentially, Google's at a place where they're changing their dynamic, and because of their increased focus on relevance, it gets trickier and trickier to generate leads on the scale that I'm used to. For example, my best client, we would do around 12,000 leads a week from Google, right? So, 12,000 leads a week, you need a lot of visibility, and you need a lot of traffic to get those kinds of numbers, right? And overall, I think we did, 450,000 leads for this one client. But that was really done through the Google Content Network. It wasn't done all in search, and it was done through strategies of pushing our message out to non-relevant markets, not to people that aren't interested in what we do, but pushing the strategy out to people that are good in the target market, but maybe not specifically looking for what we have. Because here's the problem. If you just limit your message to people looking for exactly what you have to offer, well, it's like supply and demand, right? There's only so much demand for it, and you can only push out as much supply as there is demand. Where if you start using strategies like what I'm going to teach you tonight on Facebook, you can take a new product or a new brand or a new person, if you're someone just starting out in this industry, and you can push your message out to people that aren't maybe looking for you based on their likes and interests, based on their connections, based on where you know that they're in the right place so you can push your message out, versus getting onto Google.com and waiting for them to come look for you and then trying to push through 1,000 advertisers to get them to find you. And especially if you're new in an industry and people don't know who you are, that's especially challenging, right? So again, Facebook is a killer strategy for the new marketer. If you have a new name, you're trying to build a new brand, a new product, Facebook is great because people don't have to be actively looking for you to get out there and generate leads. Now, the next thing I want to touch on with that is again, there's a few things you should know about me. I am not a social media trainer. I don't Twitter, and I don't tweet, and I don't do friend-based marketing online. I am a paid search marketer, and I only do sales-driven advertising. I have no interest in anything that's not sales-driven. So when we talk about Facebook, the only reason I'm here tonight and the only reason I'm so big on Facebook PPC is because of some of the functionality within what's called a Facebook page. And I'll show you exactly how that works later in the call. So this is what I want to cover so you guys know where I'm coming from and what I'm going to teach you tonight and what you can always count on me to teach you in any kind of session that I come out with. This is the diagram that I use when I'm teaching how to bridge the gap. It's about bridging the gap from social to sale, right? And if I was teaching you this, it would be bridging the gap from search to sale. It's always the same thing online. Whenever you're going to do sales-driven marketing online, you have to take someone through all the steps in this diagram. And it doesn't matter where you're getting the traffic, right? So I can kind of show you what I mean by that, but there's three big things that you need to be in control of to actually take traffic on the internet and get it to spend money, right? To get the traffic to go from wherever the source is right into presenting a credit card and buying. These are going to be the steps, right? So we're going to start, there's three things. First of all, you have to have action. You have to be able to get people to take action and make small commitments along the way. And that's kind of, again, if you're looking at lead captures and email opt-ins and even the click in a pay-per-click ad, it's all just a small action. And every time someone takes an action, which means they take one step closer to you, you've got them coming closer to the sale, just like this diagram is representing. So if you look at the bullseye, right, where, of course, if you follow the Urban Cowgirl, we know it's a showdown, right? If you look at the bullseye, that's going to be dead center. That's going to be your closed sale. And ideally, you'll have lots of those, right? So we want to start at this outer edge, and that's going to be intent, okay? So across the horizontal in this diagram, we have something that is going to be called persuasion, right? All of you guys know about persuasion, but for those of you that don't, persuasion is the one thing that allows you to pull emotion into the sale. It allows people to connect with you. They have a conversation already happening in their mind, and you want to join them there, right? You want to meet them on common ground. As soon as you find common ground with somebody, that's when you start moving towards buying. The next thing you have, of course, is commitment. If you had a whole bunch of leads in your life and none of them have ever converted to a sale, the problem is they didn't commit. They took the action, which is right up here on the up and down, right up here on the verticals, lots of action, right? They've taken the action. They move forward with you, but without commitment. If they don't have commitment, they won't buy. They just kind of went through the actions to get the goodie, or they went through the actions because you told them to in a big red headline, but when they got to the end of it, they weren't truly convinced that they wanted more information about what you have, or much less talk to a salesperson. So you're going to notice that those are kind of the invisible. The persuasion is a little bit invisible. You can't see people's intent, and I'm going to show you through laser targeting that is really what intent is about. So if people ever say to you, yeah, you need targeted traffic, they're talking about intent. They're talking about what a person's intention are when they search, or what a person's intention is when they're over there on Facebook, right? So no matter how we look at this, you've got to have the right intent. That's how you target your traffic. And then you get right down here to the center with all you rainmakers and sales guys, right down here to the close. So the one thing you'll find on the internet is people are either missing one of these components. You have lots of calls to actions, but not enough of this kind of fuzzy thing through the center where all the emotion and all the persuasion and all the passion and all the commitments lie that actually make sales happen. So I'm going to show you tonight how Facebook can merge both of those things into one platform, which makes it incredibly sexy. And then we can come across, which is the last step, which got me sold on Facebook, is navigation. And be sure you write that down, because whether you're doing sales on the street or you're doing sales on the phone or you're doing telemarketing, you're always going to need persuasion and action, because, it's persuasion that allows them to trust you enough to give you the credit card info, which is the action. But what you don't realize on the internet is you have to have control over the navigation. And that's whether you're doing search or social or any sales-driven strategy online, you have to be able to control where people are going and what messages they're getting at what particular time, right? That's how sales work, right? So when you look at what I like to call these 8 non-8 sales funnels, you're going to notice that navigation is how you lead them. So if you didn't have control over the navigation, how would you be sure that you had already joined the conversation before you made him an offer? And if you didn't have control over the navigation, how would you be sure that you had a commitment before you asked them to take action? And then more importantly, if you didn't have control over the navigation, how are you going to know that you've already put out the trust mechanism for them to actually close with confidence and become a repeat customer? So navigation is the way that you can make sure people follow this path in a way that's really meaningful, and follow this path in a way where you control the sales funnel, not people out there on the net. Because if the people on the net control it, they're going to be very much like normal people are, right? They're going to back out. They're going to move around. They're going to cruise your website. They're not really going to know where to go or what to do, and 98% of the time, if not 100, they're just going to leave without doing anything. So it's the navigation piece that really allows you to secure those sales and make sure that this sales pathway, this gap that you're going to bridge, is actually approached in the right way. So when we talk about Facebook, this is why I'm so hot on Facebook. This is why I'm making my customers so much money with Facebook. This is why I'm converting a mad amount of leads for pennies on the dollars with Facebook. Because Facebook has allowed you to set up, this is a good campaign. This is actually a Victoria's Secret campaign within Facebook, and there are great examples. You can go to facebook.com/Victoria's Secret if you want to see a killer example of an in-action sales converting campaign in Facebook. So you can see they have about 3 million active fans or followers, which is pretty hot, right? But this is what you can do in Facebook right now. You can create a mini website, completely functional, right? It functions like a blog where you can post new content all the time. People can comment on it just like a blog. You can put information about your company like you would on a web page in the info tab. You can create product spotlights. You can create email opt-ins. You can create sales offers, right? All of this can be coded inside of Facebook with what's called the tab. So what you're going to be doing, this is the strategy I'm teaching tonight, is you don't want to take your traffic outside of Facebook because there's no advantage. But more importantly, you can now, with some of the functionality of what's called a Facebook page, you can actually create an entirely functional mini website inside the Facebook platform and then use pay-per-click, which is the #1 driver of high-quality traffic, to generate leads. Okay, so let's look at what we're going to start with, lesson 1. Okay, the first thing that you want to know when you talk about Facebook advertising is you do not want to drive your traffic outside of Facebook. So if you want to write something down right now, note number 1 is that do not drive your traffic outside of Facebook, and I'm going to show you why right now. Well, Facebook's getting ready to announce, they may have already announced it, that they're actually not at 4 million users, they're 500 million users, right? So it's not 400 million users, but 500 million just over the last few months, right? They've already got another 100 million users in the platform. So here's what happens if you drive your Facebook traffic to a website. You set up a pay-per-click campaign, and you link it to a website. Well, what happens is you pay market value for that traffic, right? People click, and they go to your website. But you lose this interaction with personal profiles. So essentially, you're cutting yourself off from 500 million people that could see your message by taking your traffic outside of Facebook. Now, again, if we were looking at the pages and we just had to take people to a wall or an info tab or something very personal, which I'm going to show you you don't have to, if that was the case, I would say, yeah, get them to a website where you can build a really killer sales funnel. But since you can build a sales funnel inside of Facebook, the only benefit that you have to driving your traffic to a website outside of hosting fees is the fact that you lose, I mean, the only advantage you may have over there is you're going to pay more per lead. There's no advantage. You're going to pay more per lead. You're going to pay for your web hosting fees the same way. You're going to drive traffic, and you're going to disconnect yourself from 500 million people. So essentially, when you put your traffic inside of Facebook, it's designed, pages are designed just for businesses. They're not social profiles. You separate your business, right? So you have what's called a personal profile over here on the left, and then you have what's called a page over here on the right. So pages are designated just for businesses, not people, and profiles are designated just for people. So for the first time in the history of social media, you can actually drive traffic in a social way, which has got that really killer like trust, connection, conversation thing right kind of ingrained in it. You can drive that traffic right to a page that people know has commercial intent. So they're not out there kind of wondering, okay, so is this a friend? Is this person want to be my friend? They understand that they're following a business or a brand or a product, right? They understand that they're not coming to meet with just a person. So you have your personal profile, then you have your business page. And what happens, the way Facebook has set it up, is they set it up so that intentionally, so personal profiles can interact with these pages. They can post on the page, and then everything a person's going to do on your page is going to bounce right back so that other users can see it. Other people can see what's happening, right? So you really want to be sure that you stay focused on driving your traffic inside Facebook so you can take advantage of the viral nature of social media. Again, for lead generation, not for fun. So here's a good example of what I mean by the way it's set up for commercial intent. If you're here on the Victoria's Secret page, you can see they have a spotlight tab. I showed you in the early picture, I showed you their wall and their info tab. Very social, very transparent, very conversational, again, giving people the ability to get to know them. Then you move over here to the spotlight tab, and it's just product offers. Right? They're not talking about, again, this is not about just talking about Victoria's Secret. They're telling you to watch their most recent video. It's a sales video. They're telling you about their newest product launches. They're telling you about their newest releases, their newest everything that they have, and they want you to buy. And if you go to the other tabs within the Victoria's Secret campaign, you'll see that they promote their most recent products, whether it's Swim 2010 or the Bombshell campaign. It's all sales-driven. It's all product-driven. It's a commercial website, right? So this is going to be the biggest difference if you want to say when you're doing Facebook that you pay attention to the fact that it's a sales vehicle. If you use it that way, if you only set up a Facebook page with a wall and an info tab, then it's not a sales vehicle because you've dropped your navigation, right? At that point, they're coming to your page, but they don't exactly know what you're selling. They can't buy it. They can't take action to move forward with you. So as long as you set up your pages in a way where people can come in there and they can actually take action, you're going to convert sales. The main lesson when you're thinking about pages versus profiles versus where to drive your traffic is going to be about branding. And this is going to be the main strategy for those of you guys that want to know like a concrete strategy that you can walk away with and how you can use this to either improve your existing page or create a really killer page. You want to think about writing for the brand. And this is the very best way I can explain brand marketing from a sales perspective, right? I'm not talking about branding for like a mission statement or killer graphics or any of that. I'm talking the reason branding is powerful for sales is because it allows you to differentiate. It's just old school marketing, differentiator guide. The internet is a mature market. We're in 2010, right? I was here in the beginning. Brian and Norbert were here in the beginning. We all were, right? But in the beginning, it was really easy to stand out. I used to just have a cartoon character. It was very easy to stand out. But now that we get into a mature market, you have to do more to stand out from the crowd because the crowds are bigger, right? There's more people for you to get in front of. So you really want to be paying attention to how you can brand yourself. And again, the worst thing you could do is copy somebody else's stuff identically because at that point you blend into the crowd. And that's the great thing about Facebook. You can have all kinds of offers that are similar, but you can still, with your wall posts and your content, you can really lead with your own brand and your own personality and give people a chance to get to know you. And that's going to really have a big impact on your bottom line. So the next thing we're going to talk about is connection targeting, and this is where the advertising in Facebook, where the platform has a serious advantage even over Google, because there's some secrets within there when you go to set up your campaigns, and I'll share them with you tonight in specific. When you go to set up your campaigns within Facebook, you're going to notice that you can target 3 really unique things. You can market yourself outward to bigger markets, right? So you can come in and say, okay, I want to target people in my market, people with similar likes and interests, people that I can market to that are interested in my message. But then where Facebook gets really powerful, markets is what we've always done on Google. Market, target market, right? We've done it all day long. But if you come over here in Facebook, they have something called connection targeting. And what you can do with that is once someone comes to your page, they're going to become a fan of it by clicking like, right? There's this little like button. And they're going to click that they like your page. Once they've done that, they're going to follow your page. And everything you post, they're going to share with their friends as long as you do it correctly. And everything they do when they interact with your page is going to be visible to their friends, right? This is kind of the key. And since the average Facebook user has 150 friends, just think of the viral nature of that. And a social influencer has 1,500 to 5,000 friends. You're talking about a lot of reach, and I'm going to show you some actual numbers next. But what you can do in Facebook PPC is you can actually set up your campaigns to target people that have already expressed interest in your page. So essentially, they've already clicked the like button. It would almost be like if we were on Google and we could actually target the people that had already opted in. So we put our Google ad out, good old AdWords, right? Put the ad up there and we say, okay, we want to show our AdWords ad only to the people that have already opted in. Because then that ad has a lot more power, right? Then that ad can actually be directed in a way that you can upsell them. You can focus on specific products and specific offers because you already know that they like what you're doing. They've expressed like in what you're doing. And then you can move forward and kind of go into the next step of the sale. And then here's where we get really, really juicy with it. You can actually set something in connection targeting, set a separate ad up to target the friends of the fans of your page. This is kind of complex, but if you think it through, you'll totally get it, especially if you just, I'll try to go slow so you guys grab this, right? I'm sure I'm already giving you writer's cramp. Okay, so when you come in here and you go ahead and you target the friends of the people that are fans of your page. So you've got, say, 1,000 people following your page. Well, you can actually go and create an ad just to their friends, just to people that are friends of theirs. So here's what you get with that. You get social proof, right? What happens here is when Facebook displays the ad, it actually lets the people know, hey, your friends like this, and they give them by name, right? Like it'll say, again, Brian Finale likes this. It'll say Norbert likes this, and it shows you the friends in your circle that like that product, business, or brand. And so what happens with that pay-per-click ad is now it's not only a pay-per-click ad, it's a social proof pay-per-click ad, right? And that's where it gets really powerful. Plus, you can segment the kind of offers and the kind of promotions, going back to navigation, that you're going to put in front of these people, right, based on their interests. Obviously, if you're marketing to a bigger market, you just want them to become fans. You got to start out with just an introduction, right? Come get to know me. But then, man, if you are marketing to friends of fans, most likely there's a higher interest in what you do, right? So you can push a little harder. And then if you're marketing to people that have already expressed interest, they're ready to get a really killer product promotion and maybe even a special for the page, right? So they especially feel connected with. So this is an example of connection targeting on Facebook. It's right within your ad platform. And here's a really good example of how much reach you can get with this. So I decided to set up an ad. I have, obviously, The Urban Cowgirl is my Facebook page. It's facebook.com/The Urban Cowgirl. And I have about 1,000 or 1,100 fans on my page. Well, when I had about 1,000 fans, I went to set up some connection targeting. Just by targeting, you'll see it right here in the print, just by targeting the users whose friends are connected to The Urban Cowgirl, right, which means these people's friends are already liking my page, I was able to reach 190,000 people. And for all you guys on the call tonight, you can probably assume that a lot of people that follow me are in networking, right, just because I have a big following there. So now you can assume that the people that they are friends with are probably also in networking. So I don't have to go out and create a campaign for just like network marketers. I can reach all of them just by the simple fact that they're all going to be connected to one another. And just the ones that connect to my page, the 1,000 there, I can reach 194,000 networkers straight in that know the people that like my marketing, probably in similar opportunities, probably in similar circles. I can target those people right there with that ad. So that's going to be your most powerful thing. So again, if you're writing down notes, you really want to pay attention to connection targeting because that's really the most interesting part about Facebook's advertising platform. And again, the one thing you want to keep, the nugget to walk away with on tonight's session, the thing that you really want to keep in mind here is you're not just looking for sales. That's not the key value metric in Facebook. Obviously in Google AdWords, because people spend about 5% of their time on the search engine and 95% of their time on pages like Facebook, right? So since the search engine is a one-time shot at the title, you're really not trying to do anything but convert sales and action. Now with Facebook, there's something more valuable there. Especially if you're a new product, a new vendor, a new brand, a new person, a new public figure, you're trying to create social proof. You're trying to let people know that, hey, people in your circle like what I do. Social proof is actually the biggest drive of sales on the Internet, right? So, again, people, that's just kind of how we are as human beings, right? We naturally look to our peers to see what they're buying if we don't know how to make a decision. So, again, if you know you're going to buy something, that's one thing. But if you're not quite sure about it, you're going to naturally look around at the people close to you and see what they think. You're going to naturally look for social proof that what they're doing works so that other people that you trust for credibility are doing it as well. So you want to really keep in mind with Facebook that it's not just about the sale, it's really about social proof. That's how you leverage the whole platform, whether it's your quality score, whether it's your rank, whether it's your conversions. It's all going to be leveraged through connections and social proof. Okay, so now, if we're going to talk about just the bare bones of Facebook advertising and the components that make it really work, we'll go ahead here and we'll kind of, this is a very similar diagram. Again, this is very much like pay-per-click and AdWords. It just has a different slant because Facebook is a different platform. So if you guys go back to my original diagram with intention, you'll know that that's where I always start. So when I started researching how I would approach approach Facebook, I started looking about the intention of how someone uses Facebook, right? Because I don't want to really come up to them. I don't want to be a distraction. I want to join the conversation in their mind. So the same way I approached AdWords in the early days is the first thing I look at is not just the intention in their keywords or their likes and interests, but really their intention in how they use the platform. Like in search, I know that people use search for efficiency, right? When you go to Google, you're not there to do that around. You go to Google, you want to put something in, and gosh darn it, you want to find it in 5 seconds or less. That's what search is about. That's how you use the tool. So I've always taught my clients in the early days, don't go leading them down the pipeline because people are already halfway there in their mind. Regardless of what you want to show them with a corner-turning ad in search, they already know what they want, and if you put an ad in front of them that is not that, then you're just distracting them and probably really ticking them off, right? So with Facebook, I looked at the same kind of strategy. When people come to Facebook, what do they really want to do there? Well, they want to socialize, they want to relax, and they want to connect. And people always want to learn about new stuff. That's how we are as human beings, right? We're just innately curious. So I look at that and I think, okay, so how would you create an ad that's not disruptive? How would you create an ad that's going to just join that natural intention of the platform? So here's where you get intention in Facebook. And in search, it's about keyword usage, right, and targeting and making sure that you're just got an ad that's perfectly tuned into what they're looking for. If you're on Facebook, what you're trying to do is you're going to tune into what's called their likes and interests, right? And again, you have amazing targeting capabilities in Facebook, and you can use all the regular keyword tools to kind of scrape these likes and interests. But when you're building a Facebook campaign, you first start to join the conversation and not be disruptive, which is when your message is actually well received and you get a lot of sales. You really want to think about the person's likes and interests. That's kind of the hub of the campaign. The second thing you have to do once you determine their likes and interests, and that's really where your targeting and your conversion starts, is you've got to take and set ad creative and landing pages that really tie to those likes and interests. This is one of the biggest gaps in search. It's still a gap in Facebook. Don't ever create a message that, one, is not relevant, and relevance in Facebook is likes and interests. And again, so the ad creative has to be relevant to the things they're interested in. If they don't express an interest in the things that you do, don't advertise to them because they're not interested, right? They've already, I mean, it's pretty clear, right? So you really want to make sure relevance is all based on the fact of what they're interested in seeing. But then the thing that you really got to think about next is, okay, how can I take my ad creative and landing page and make sure that this is incredibly relevant to what they do? So let me give you like a quick no-no, right, like a deadly mistake. You definitely, when you're doing Facebook advertising, you ever see those ads, and this is what someone will tell you that says contextual advertising, right? And again, contextual advertising is different than social advertising. But they'll say to you, just create an ad that gets their attention. You ever heard that in contextual ads? Just get a belly dancer, or get a really old, ugly, wrinkly guy, or find a chihuahua and put a mohawk on him. Just anything to get them to look. Do not do that in Facebook because that's disruptive, right? I mean, they may look over there, but if it's not relevant to what they want to see in a social or connection or contextual way, they're going to look at it and go, look, I don't care about cupcakes. I don't care about chihuahuas. Why do you have that ad there? But now if you put an ad that has a clear message, it's like, hey, I know that you're really into to this particular thing. Like, hey, I really know that you're into lingerie. And then you put a Victoria's Secret ad up. Well, wow. Maybe they don't buy Victoria's Secret lingerie. Maybe they're not looking for a particular brand by Victoria's Secret, but all of a sudden it's very relevant to what they're interested in. And then a lot of people, can you imagine if Victoria's Secret put an ad up, they had a chihuahua in a bra? I mean, at that point, the girl that wants to look sexy is probably like, what's up with the dog in the bra? I don't get it. So again, really don't do ads that just people can look at for the sake of looking. Again, the belly dancing mortgage guy works over on websites and the content network. It's not going to work on Facebook. No belly dancers, no sprinkle cupcakes. If you're going to do a chihuahua with a mohawk, make sure that same chihuahua is actually displayed through your entire campaign and he has context to what I'm interested in, which may be chihuahuas. If not, don't do it. So again, really stay focused on that because the one thing about Facebook that most people overlook is the fact that you actually have billboard space. It's an image ad. It's right there on the profile. People are going to spend like 20 to 55 minutes in their Facebook account every day. You want them looking at an ad that actually delivers your message to market, right? That portrays your value, that lets them know why they want to know more about you, that delivers your brand message, right? That differentiates you, but not in a way that's disco and weird, right? So again, the thing you want to think about there is that impression space is really valuable in Facebook. So don't waste it on kind of junky ads. Stay really relevant, and when I talk about that, at least you guys know what I mean there. So the next thing we're going to talk about when we talk about just the way the system works. So from a sales-driven system, you got likes and interests, you got ad creative, you got your landing page, right? That's how you sell. Now we get to the other side of this diagram, and this is really about the platform. This is about Facebook and how they're going to treat your ads. The things that you're not going to have a lot of control over, unless you get this first part right, is the structure and the position of your ad. So structure is going to be when you put your ads together, you want to put your campaigns together in a way for two reasons. One, so Facebook knows that you're relevant and you're targeting people in a socially relevant way. And then two, you want to create killer campaign structures so that you can go back in and easily see what's working and what's not, right? If you have like all your likes and interests piled in one big lumpy ad, all of a sudden how are you going to know which ones are converting traffic and which ones don't, right? So again, structure also allows you to kind of understand where you're making money and where you're losing it. And then again, position, it's always the search showdown. Here it's the social showdown. It never changes. It's always a gunfight. The guy that's the best player wins. You've got to show up at the top of the page. There's 3 to 5 ads, even in search. No one scrolls to page 2. It's like the internet graveyard. You've got to be at the top of the page. If you don't play to win, don't play at all, because there's not going to be any traffic if you're just, outside of the main game. So again, you really want to fight for your position through, again, but see, if you create this first half correctly, if you get really good likes and interests that are relevant to your offer, if the ad creative and the landing page just drills it home the entire way through in a relevant way, all this other stuff will happen naturally. The structure will happen because you will have good structure inherently, and then more importantly, positions will be won because you'll have the best ad. That's going to be the way you do that. So here's another thing I want you guys to think about. The kind of hub of your Facebook advertising campaign is going to be the likes and interest category, right? And here's my big nugget of the night and how you're going to define this, right? You really want to be sure that you focus on behavioral likes and interests, right? Not demographics. So you'll have people sell you on Facebook because, hey, you could target all the single guys between 25 and 35, and you can even know their birthday. And that's just totally irrelevant. Don't let anyone kid you that that's even hot, right? Who cares, right? What you want to know is behaviorally what their likes and interests are, right? So what do they naturally like to do that indicates where they spend money? Because it's sales-driven marketing, right? So where do they spend money? And there's 3 things you're going to look for when you start building your likes and interests. You're going to be looking first at products. That's number 1. And you'll even see here in Facebook's suggested likes and interests to give lots of products to Victoria's Secret, right? So again, what you want to look at, why do products matter? You think, even in Google, all the old school boys, including Brian and Norbert, made a ton of their money by targeting competitors' keywords. And the reason that was so hot is because why is a competitor keyword hot? Not because you're going to trash them, that's tragic. But the reason it's hot is because it shows you people are spending money there. When you start looking at other products in your market, it shows you behaviorally where your target customer is spending money. So again, this already shows Victoria's Secret that people are spending money at Juicy Couture. Why is Juicy Couture important? Because if they're spending money, right? That's where it kind of defines why products are hot. So you want to be thinking about all the other products, all the other leaders, all the other things that your potential customers are buying and following right now, and that's your first target. Now, your second target is going to be about passion. Because anytime someone's passionate, they're going to really, really be a strong emotional prospect, right? And we all know people buy on emotions. They don't buy on, logic, right? So, again, passions tap into people's emotions. A great example of that is there's a campaign out there for The Cove, right? The Cove is a movie about dolphins. It's about saving the dolphins in Japan. Killer movie, won an Academy Award. It won tons of film festival awards. It's super good documentary about saving Japanese dolphins. But if you go into the Cove campaign and you look at their target, you can actually find the people that follow the Cove also are really into saving all marine life. And they're really into the ocean preservation. They're really into fighting these oil drillers, right? They're really into saving the whales, right? It's not just dolphins they want to save. They want to save all animals. They they're into any kind of animals, right? But especially the aquatic animals, right? So again, this is their passion. They're into Green Day. They're into Earth Day. They're into Living Green. They're into all sorts of stuff, right? And this is what I mean by passion. So again, if you went to Facebook and you tried to key in people that love dolphins, right, it wouldn't be like Google. It wouldn't really work because people that love dolphins, that's really not where the passion lies. It's really about the other causes they follow, the thing that makes them passionate, which really is about environmental, conservation, animal right? So again, passion is another key indicator of where you're going to get your target market. Now, the third thing we all know, all of us know, especially if you're on this call tonight, you know this, it's all about profession, right? So at least I keep them simple. They're all 3 keywords. The third thing you're going to look at with likes and interests is going to be people's profession. Because as you know, people are very, very into what they do. I mean, we all have the 4-hour work week. I own that book. I can't tell you that I've quite accomplished that yet. I don't have a 4-hour work week. I wish I did, but I don't. I tend to work like a normal person, which is from morning until evening, sometime around 9 o'clock at night. So anyway, most people, when it comes to their profession, especially those of you guys that are go-getters or those of you guys starting a new company or a new brand or a new business, man, you are always working. It's just part of life, right? I mean, even if you just have a JOB, you work 40 hours, right? I mean, so again, your profession is a huge part of what you do. Your profession says a lot about your likes and interests, says a lot about your behavior, again, what you would buy, what you would act on. Where passions are going to show action, professions are going to show investment. Most people in their professional circle, especially the people at the top of their game, we invest a lot of money and a lot of time into our profession. I do not think that there is an information product on the market by any top trainer that I do not own. I do not think that that's possible. I don't think that there's many people that could spend more on Amazon than I do. In fact, I sometimes have to be careful with their one-click system, right? Because I'm like, oh, my gosh, did I just order 5 books or 10? So, again, you really know people professionally are always going to go in and spend money on what they do, especially when they're just starting out and especially when they're at the top of their game. And then anywhere in the middle, if they're not a complete putt, they're definitely investing some time, some energy, and they have a high interest in what it is they do professionally. So this is going to be the thing that helps you if you're looking for the nugget or the social stampede kind of strategy on how you do your advertising. This is something I've taught on Google over the years. I'm just going to keep it really simple here too. When you make a promise, keep it, right? And what this means is whatever you say in your ad, make sure you deliver the exact message on the page they land in on your page, right? So again, take your likes and interests, create an ad that's relevant, and land them on a page that delivers exactly what you promised in the ad. If you make any disconnect there, in fact, we did a test on this last week, and my friend Lisa, Cowgirl Lisa, right, my co-host, she's got a little Facebook campaign she's running right now, and she did a test on it, and she, of course, being in all of our training sessions for all these years, like it was drilled into her brain over the years to make sure she was congruent in her message, and she did a tweak. She realized there was one bit of language in her ad, one little phrase in her ad that she had used in the ad copy, but had not carried on to her landing page. She went back in and took this exact phrase out of the ad copy, changed out her headline on her landing page in Facebook to match it. She started converting double. So she went from like an 18% conversion rate to like a 38% conversion rate just by changing that one word. So that's the one thing you want to keep in mind when you're thinking about advertising on any platform, Facebook included. Be sure that whatever you say in your ad copy, you continue with that same message to your landing page, and that's the secret to converting clicks to customers. You don't want to lose them along the way. All right, so here's where we get the power of Facebook. Here's where we get what I showed you earlier, why you want to connect with these 500 million profiles. Because all of the connections in Facebook are driven by what's called a social action. And there's 3 key social actions that you're going to want to follow. And here's where the social action benefits you. It benefits you because the social action is going to deliver low-cost leads, period. Because when you pay market value for leads, it just does one thing, right? It just goes up. We're in 2010, so it started at one place in 2003, and all of us just sit around and watch it go up, right? Here's where Facebook totally changes this equation. Rather than your cost per lead going up, it goes down, and it goes down, and it goes down. So you may start out on day one with a $6 cost per lead, and because of all these social actions, if you do it right, at the end of the day, you can end up with an 83-cent lead, right? Because what happens is as soon as someone says they like your page, all their friends see that. All their friends see that. And you know how we're curious by nature, like I said earlier. So if I see one of my trusted friends, because in my personal profile, I've only got trusted friends. So if I see somebody I'm friends with like something, I definitely click on it, right? It's just the nature, right? And then I go see it and I like it as well because we're similar, we wouldn't be friends, right? So every time someone likes something, every time you start a conversation, every time you post a page, every time you post an ad that gets someone interested, all their friends see that they like it. Every time you put up a wall post, like I showed you in screenshot 1, and someone comments on that wall post, again, you know immediately everybody they know gets to see those comments and get curious and come see your page as well. And then here's where it gets really hot. When you're talking about converting your traffic to sales, Facebook has a feature called events, right? You can actually RSVP for an event. So you can tell people in Facebook you're going. So events are really it. Those are going to be your highest quality social actions. You kind of start at the beginning with them liking you, and then you put some content up that they comment on and get engaged with, and then you get to the kind of the grand event, which is the sales-driven event. We're sales-driven marketers here tonight. So you're not doing an event to like have cocktails and make friends and do a networking thing. You're having an event for sales, right? You're having a sales-driven event right there on Facebook, and people can RSVP for it. And then when they RSVP, all their friends see that, and then they can actually invite their friends to RSVP. So what normally happens with your cost per lead on Facebook is by the time people start taking all these social actions and it spreads out virally, your cost per lead starts at market value and then it goes down to just ridiculously low prices, which is actually my favorite thing about the platform right now, outside of the fact that you can really connect with people and do what I've always called kind of the push and pull, right? That attraction, persuasive marketing is just side by side with this really strong call to action on your landing page. So outside of the sales components, I think that events is by far one of the biggest draws to Facebook advertising, and more importantly, any of these actions. I love that it's viral. I love to watch my fans kind of tick up by the minute when I'm not paying for those fans, right? So I get opt-ins. After my first opt-in, I pay for that guy, and then I don't pay for the other 10 or 20 people that come after him, and I love to watch that happen, especially if you're used to Google conversion metrics, because you know we pay pretty good for our leads over there. Okay, so here's a really good example of how someone can RSVP for an event and how pretty much the events don't have to be very, they don't have to be like influential, right? You don't have to have events that are like huge, right? Like Victoria's Secret just pretty much puts an event on Facebook for about anything they do. So at this point, you can go and check out their new bra and panty line, or they have a fragrance launch. It's all sales-driven. Look at these things. When you go to these sites, this is commercial. Pages are for businesses, right? So again, Victoria's Secret isn't here for like Meet the Models Day. They're here for like, here's our newest launch, come buy it. They're here for this is our newest fragrance, come buy it. And then anytime a woman goes onto the site, anytime someone goes to Facebook and RSVPs, well, all of a sudden all their friends that are most likely also into Victoria's Secret are going to look at that, or at least into Looking Sexy, are going to look at that and go in and want to RSVP. And it might be as simple as, hey, I see that you're going to the mall for this event. I want to join you this weekend, right? And pretty soon the RSVPs get super viral, and now Victoria's Secret has a sales event, and they may have paid for one person to find out about that event, but they're not going to pay for the hundreds of other people that find out through viral content. So here's really another big lesson in the social stampede. Here's really another lesson about Facebook advertising and why it's different than traditional advertising. And when you talk about Facebook advertising, here's what I want you guys to understand. I covered it a little bit in the beginning, but you really want to understand that Facebook is not about demand, right? It's not like people are actively looking for you, and that's kind of the benefit in this context, right? In search, they're looking for you, right? Totally different platforms. In Facebook, they're not, but you're finding them to be kind of targets that we talked about, right, through the 3 Ps, through their likes and interests. But here's the thing. You have to do 3 things to create demand for a new product. If you're a brand new brand, brand new public figure, a person leading a brand, or a brand new product, there's 3 things you have to do to create demand, right? And what you have to do, the first thing you have to do is you have to create awareness, and that's what pay-per-click does, right? That little tiny ad with the right image and the right text allows people, new people that weren't looking for you or didn't know about you, to actually find out about you. That's awareness, and that's why pay-per-click is hot. So again, now you create awareness. Now step 2, and this is the part all sales-driven marketers skip, so do write this down. Step 2, if you're creating demand, the only way you can do it in a way that you'll get to step 3 is second step is you have to create a positive experience around your product or brand or business. So for someone to actually want to buy from you when they didn't know you the day before, the next step, the transition they have to come through, it goes back to those 3 steps in the first diagram, the next thing they have to come through is they really have to have a positive experience with your product, with your service, with you, with whatever part of your business you're going to lead with. And when I talk about a positive experience, I don't mean just warm, fuzzy feeling, right? A positive experience means you have to deliver the value that they expect. And that's one of the biggest things. So never put things on your Facebook page. Never create campaigns that don't leave a person when they first met you walking away feeling like they've won. Feeling like knowing you and knowing your company has changed them, right? Or it has somehow delivered an amazing value that they walk away and they go, man, if I had never found out about that, I wouldn't have had this experience, right? And it may be as simple as when you put on Victoria's Secret, Victoria's Secret bra and panty set, you just feel a little bit different as a chick. And definitely as a chick's boyfriend, he definitely feels different about the entire experience, right? So for both of you guys, you're like, thank God for that bra and panty set, right? It's not as if you're going to go there and be like, well, gosh, what exactly do I get from Victoria's Secret? They deliver it in every single campaign, which is you get to feel super sexy. And if you're a guy looking at that, your girlfriend gets to be super sexy. And no one has a question of why they're there, right, or why they're hanging out on the Victoria's Secret page or why they're buying those products. So, again, the second step you have to do is deliver that message, deliver that value right away on your wall so that people understand, hey, this is what I get. And then the third thing you do to create demand, the third thing you have to do in demand creation is now you got to get people that are aware and feeling good and understanding the value to take that action and buy. And that's actually the easiest step. So step one is very easy. Put up a pay-per-click ad. Step 3 is very easy. Put up an offer. Step 2 is the part that you got to work on a little bit harder, which is show immediately the value you deliver so people understand why they want to do business with you. Now here is what I think is a great example of how simple it is to build content. And again, I really want to frame this in a way so you understand what kind of content you want to share on a business page, right? What kind of content do you want to share on a business page? People think that they need to post really deep quotes like they do on Twitter, or they think they need to repurpose other people's content like you would on a blog. That's not what social content's about, and especially for a page. The best posts that do the very best in social media sales are going to be posts about your product. People don't come to your page to learn about you. They want to know about your business. They want to know about your value as a business, your value as a product, your value as a person, right? But your value as a person, all in relation to business. So this is what it gets really good. The hottest post on the Victoria's Secret page is this post about a new product launch, right? And again, you can see this is really just about people, and you couldn't pay for this kind of viral content. This goes back to the social proof again, and this is a news feed post, right? So anyone that follows the Victoria's Secret page, all of their friends see this kind of content. So it's like such a great advertising message because it shows up on what's called the news feed, and the news feed is like personal news for people that follow Facebook, right? So what happens with this is all of a sudden the people that you're friends with get to see these kinds of comments and these kinds of posts. So as a girl who has another friend who's most likely interested in the same type of thing, you're going to see this and you're going to want to click. You're going to naturally be inclined to want to click on these ads, click on these comments, and go look at the new product, right? So what I really want to drive home with this message is it doesn't have to be the kind of content that's way over the top. It needs to be content, again, look here, they're posting about a launch, right? It's all sales-driven content. So when you think about the kind of content that you want to post, let it be very sales-driven because the viral component is huge. And this is my news feed, right? So when I log in to my homepage of Facebook every single day, this is what I see. And again, if I choose to like this or comment on this, this is what my friends are going to see as well. So this is where it gets very powerful. The news feed allows you to create buzz about your business without having to pay for that, right? So it's like press and PR, but it's personally endorsed press that you don't have to pay for. So the one thing I want to talk about strategically, when you start posting content to your Facebook page and you start putting that content out there for people to use and you start driving that buzz for your business, the one thing you want to focus on is really having unique content. You don't have to post as frequently. You don't have to post all the time. The real drive here is going to be in having unique content, right? It's having the kind of content that when people see it, they understand, again, about you and the value your business delivers. So it's not about posting all the time. And you definitely, the biggest mistake you can make in social media on your Facebook page, even as a business, is to repurpose and post other people's content like a blog. That's a total no-no. Don't do that. You just want to post content that feels really authentic and is very unique to you and your business and your product because that's why they're following you. You're not a journalist. It's not a news channel. They're not there for you to cover all the latest, greatest of the Internet. They're there to learn more about you, your business, your product, your service. So again, it's really not about you repurposing content, just getting your own simplified content stream and making it authentic is all that's required to build a huge following on Facebook. So the last thing we're going to cover tonight is we're going to talk about the kind of the thing that really drives search marketing, but at the same time it's one of those things that even, the most advanced marketers, they kind of reel their heads at. But the thing we want to talk about is optimization because, again, when you set up a Facebook campaign, you're going to get results right out the gate. All of my testimonials are from beginning out the gate results, right? But all of our stats are from out the gate. But let me tell you, over time, the real profit is made. So you prepare with a good campaign, that's your ad, then you go ahead and really this circle right here off to the right is where all the money's made in marketing online. And a lot of people just don't understand this, and a lot of people shy away from this, but this is where all the money's made. So if you stay and you learn this one lesson tonight, you've learned where the money's made online. Because this is one of the things I think all people lose sight of, even in search marketing campaigns, is the fact that when you come through here, you have to look at how your campaigns are performing, right? You get feedback on how they're performing through reports, through other strategies, right? I'm going to talk about social monitoring here in a minute. But you take that feedback, and then the only way to make more money with your campaign is to make tweaks and adjustments off of the feedback you're getting on performance, and then that's going to increase your profits. And small tweaks will make enormous profits. So setting up a campaign and not constantly revising it, again, once a week is good enough, a few hours a week, spend some time revising the campaign. Spend some time looking at what's working and what's not. But the thing that's really unique about Facebook advertising that you're not going to find in other platforms, in a search marketing campaign, we do all of our analytics and all of our evaluation and all of our performance based on inside reports, right? So we're going to look at all of our stats, our CTRs, our conversion rates, those kinds of things. Now, in social, you're going to flip that around and you're going to start looking at how the message you're putting out there on your page, which campaigns, which comments, what things are you posting that people are responding to, but more importantly, how is that message carrying out to other social platforms where you get more viral response, right? So you really want to be looking at monitoring what's happening. Again, what's happening in your particular industry, right? What's hot today in your industry so that you can create content. It's called social remixing. You can create content that's very relevant to what's really happening. And so then it's like you just kind of step in front of a parade of people or where people are already interested, and then you can go ahead and you can generate a lot more leads that way. So it's very important that you're not the Lone Ranger. You aren't the Lone Ranger in search, right? But you're definitely not in social. You've got to pay attention to what people are talking about, what people are doing in your industry and your circle of influence. You've got to know who is really influencing your circle, where are people talking, what conversations are you starting that are actually creating viral buzz for you, and that's called social monitoring. So again, you're really going to want to learn a lot about monitoring to do social media because it's not just about the performance of your campaign. All the profits in social is going to be about seeing what's happening in the social space and really how you can take, one, what's already happening and bring it into your paid campaigns, and then two, how the campaigns you're pushing out, how those campaigns are influencing your business and your profitability and where you're really getting response. So if we look at Facebook's advertising platform, they have killer reports. Again, you're going to be looking at performance. There's a whole new set of metrics in Facebook, so you might want to jot these down. Impressions have a lot more value if we're looking at search traffic. We kind of start with clicks as the biggest value metric. It's not the case in social. You're going to want to start with impressions. Impressions are a big audience draw. You get a lot of value because of the amount of time people sit within the platform. So essentially, if people are in the platform, they're there for 35, 55 minutes, you get a lot more value out of that impression space than you do with the 5 seconds they're in search, right? So impressions have a huge draw. You're going to notice the social actions count as conversions, right? Because social proof is such a big value point for a new business or product. Again, if you have a proven product, that's different. But if people don't know you or don't know your product, they need proof. Before they're going to buy it, they need proof. And sometimes it can be a testimonial, but it's even more powerful if that testimonial is from one of their friends, right? So again, that proof is what you're really paying for in social media. So looking at social actions like likes and your RSVPs, right? And looking at people's comments, those things are going to be equally valuable to you. You're not just looking at your bottom line sales conversions or bottom line lead conversions. And then the third value metric that you're really going to pay attention to over in Facebook, you've got to think about it as a list building strategy. So your primary objective is going to be to come in and really generate a killer list, right? You want to generate a list. You want to have email opt-in, because I'm telling you, I love my AWeber list. In fact, my AWeber list has definitely made me more money than I would even care to talk about. I think anybody out there with a killer email list would agree that our email list is our number one asset on the net, even more than our website. More than anything we do, our email list is our number one asset. And I can tell you that right now I'm watching my clients and the people that I'm training build ridiculously cheap AWeber lists. I'm talking like 2,000, 4,000 opt-ins within like a week for no amount of money. I mean, when you're talking about paying $6 to $10 on Google for a lead, and you talk about spending 83 cents and building that same list up within a week, I'm telling you, Facebook is really, it's like kind of like the Wild West right now. And because of all these social actions, you can build an incredibly cheap list. So for those of you guys out there that are like, you know, I need a killer email list, I'm brand new to a market, I need a following, I need people I can market to, because you know what, I'm going to tell you guys, the number one driver of sales is always going to be email marketing, right? So if you're looking at how you can drive sales, email promotion, again, I go back to the way I've trained on everything over the years. If you look at the intention of email, the email is just disruptive. And email is naturally disruptive, and we're all okay with that. In fact, we're so okay with it, we kind of pick which people can get disruptive with us. At least I do. I opt in on all kinds of lists I don't want to be a part of. But then guys like Frank Kern, oh my God, Frank could email me every day. I mean, I don't care. I mean, if he's going to show me something, I want to see it, you know. And again, so email is one of those things that you allow people to disrupt you with. And email is a promotional tool, right? So you really want to build your email list because you can do a lot with it on the back end. So that's going to be your number one asset that you're going to walk away with outside of the Facebook campaign. Is you're going to walk away with a killer email list, and that's where you're going to drive all of your promotional offers. And for a very long time, if you keep it in line and do it right. So this is one of the bigger messages. This is one of the things that this kind of sums up optimization. I don't have to say much about this. You really do need to finish what you start. Turning on a campaign is not a set-and-forget project. It's not a one-time event. It's not as if you build out a Facebook campaign and you sit back and, you know, pull up a chair and drink a margarita and say, well, gosh, I'm sure glad I'm done with that. Let's just wait for the sales to jump in. It's not going to happen, right? You're going to get a few sales, and you may make some money right away, but you're not going to get really profitable until you get in there, roll up your sleeves, and figure out where you're making money and where you're losing money. And that's exactly how you make money with any kind of pay-per-click campaign. So definitely you want to be sure that you continue on where you started, and you want to treat it as something that's an ongoing process. And it's really, this is another interesting part about that, is when you talk about optimization, it's not about strategy as much as system. So just give yourself a couple hours every week and be consistent. So every Friday from 9 to noon, this is what I do, and I've made a lot of money with pay-per-click. Start it from 9 to noon. You know, maybe a Saturday afternoon, depending on how your schedule works out. Maybe it's an evening. Depends on what you like to do. Personally, I like to, you know, light a candle, turn on some music, and dig into reports. I do it every single week, like clockwork. I don't miss it, just like I don't miss the gym, just like I don't miss dinner, just like I don't miss time with my kids, right? Make sure you set time to optimize your campaigns, because if you don't set the time, you're going to miss so much money. I'm talking a tiny tweak, like I talked about earlier. One tweak to one word can double your results. One tweak to one part of your campaign can actually double your profits, right? So don't miss those tweaks, and make sure that you don't deny yourself that time to really optimize and get what you deserve out of those campaigns. So that's going to be a wrap for our content set.